Greenland isn't a random territorial interest. It's a preview of who could control the world tomorrow. In the next few minutes, you will gain the clarity most people never get about how climate change, trade routes, and hidden resources are colliding into one high-stakes power shift. Once you see it, global politics will not look chaotic anymore. It will look planned. This huge, strategically important piece of land has stayed mostly unknown to the world because of where it sits on the map and its harsh weather. Those conditions kept it pretty much off everyone's radar throughout history. The United States decided to reopen its office here in 2020. China is building airports in Greenland. Senior government officials are flying in and out of Greenland all the time now. What is going on that has made Greenland so important all of a sudden? Just to give you an idea of how big it is, Greenland is actually bigger than Mexico. But here's the crazy part. Only about 56,000 people live there. Most of these people live along the western and southern coasts. The reason for this is pretty simple. About 80% of Greenland is covered in ice, which is why nobody really cared about it much before. But things are about to change big time. This frozen island, which nobody paid attention to for hundreds of years, has suddenly become very important to the world's most powerful countries. There's a basic rule in the art of geopolitics. Whoever controls the seas controls the world. This has been true for hundreds and hundreds of years. The countries that ruled the oceans ended up ruling everything else. But there is one ocean that nobody really fought over, the Arctic Ocean. For ages, this northern ocean stayed frozen solid, and that basically stopped countries from even trying to control it. But now, something big is happening. Global warming is making the ice in this ocean melt faster and faster. And melting ice means something huge: control over new shipping routes, access to massive amounts of fresh drinking water, and the chance for new superpowers to rise up. Greenland is the main entrance to this ocean. Greenland sits right in the Arctic Circle, which means anyone who wants to get to the Arctic Ocean has to go through or near Greenland. Whoever controls Greenland basically controls the whole Arctic. The truth is, the United States figured out Greenland was important way back during the Cold War. To keep an eye on the Soviet Union, the United States built military bases on Greenland and installed large radar systems that could spot any attacks coming from the north toward the United States or Canada. When the Cold War ended, those bases were no longer needed, and American soldiers left. Now, as the ice keeps melting because of rising temperatures, Greenland is becoming important again. But it is not just about the Arctic Ocean anymore. The melting ice has kicked off 3 other major developments that could completely change how global power works in the world. Let's start with where Greenland actually is. It sits between Europe, the Americas, Canada, and Russia. Canada says the Northwest Passage goes through its territory, and so it should be in charge of that route. Russia, by contrast, claims everything from its Arctic coastline all the way to the North Pole, and has built a number of military bases in the region. A few years ago, Russia even placed its flag on the ocean floor in the Arctic. As the ice melts away, a whole new shipping route is opening up called the Northern Sea Route. This route will make shipping between East Asia, Europe, and North America much shorter. Today, most goods shipped between Asia and Europe go through the Suez Canal, but this new route cuts a lot of distance. Because Russia controls the route, it stands to earn significant revenue from it. This is why the United States is spending billions of dollars building special ships called icebreakers, so its Navy can patrol the Arctic and keep American influence strong there. Then there is China, a country that does not even touch the Arctic Ocean, yet it is very active there. One reason is the Polar Silk Road, a network China is building together with Russia. Another big reason is a small town in Greenland called Narsarsuaq, which has about 25% of the world's rare earth minerals. These are the special minerals that make our modern technology work, everything from your smartphone and machines to electric cars and military jets. Our whole future depends on these rare earth minerals. As the ice melts, people are discovering just how much mineral wealth Greenland has. Not just that, Greenland also has huge amounts of oil, natural gas, uranium, and thorium. Scientists think Greenland might have almost 30% of the world's undiscovered natural gas. For centuries, all this valuable stuff was hidden under ice, but now it is slowly being revealed. Greenland is officially part of Denmark, but it has its own local government and makes many of its own decisions. Both the United States and China are putting direct pressure on that government to get what they want. The United States knows exactly how serious the consequences would be if China gained influence. It's in Greenland. China already controls 70 to 80% of the world's rare earths minerals. If China also gained control of Greenland's resources, nothing could stop it from becoming the world's top superpower. Greenland's roads, airports, and other infrastructure are far behind the rest of the developed world. Because of the mountains and ice, most people travel by small planes, helicopters, boats, or even dog sleds. In 2017, Greenland's leader asked China for money to build airports. China agreed immediately, and that announcement made the United States very nervous. The United States pressured Denmark to intervene and cancel the deal, and that is exactly what happened. Greenland backed out of its agreement with China, and Denmark began providing funding for the airports instead, with money coming from the United States. A similar situation played out with mining. China had struck a deal to mine zinc and rare earth elements in Greenland. Then the mine owners canceled the deal with China and soon received a check for $650 million from the United States. The transaction made it clear who was backing the change. The United States is doing everything it can to keep China out of Greenland. It is building new military bases and sending soldiers to train in Arctic conditions. The United States is also providing millions of dollars to support Greenland's efforts to mine those rare earth minerals. A few years ago, Donald Trump even suggested buying Greenland, largely because of its rare earth minerals, valued at billions of dollars. But the idea went nowhere for political reasons. Here is something interesting. The local people in Greenland were actually pretty happy about Chinese money coming in, and generally like China. Even though the US is strongly against it, China has still invested a lot of money in Greenland's fishing and tourism businesses to keep a foot in the door. But why is all this happening right now? The timing really matters. Climate experts say that in the next few decades, the Arctic Ocean could be almost completely ice-free in the summer. This means ships could travel through year-round, turning the Arctic from a frozen barrier into a busy shipping highway. The money involved is massive. Shipping companies could save millions on each trip, and deliveries could be weeks faster. Plus, as the permanently frozen ground in Greenland thaws out, mineral deposits that were impossible to reach before are now becoming available for mining. Mining companies from different countries are doing extensive surveys, mapping out all the valuable stuff underground. Early guesses suggest Greenland could become one of the world's top mining spots in the next 20 years. The environmental side of this makes things even more complicated. Greenland's ice sheet has enough frozen water in it to raise ocean levels worldwide by about 7 meters, if it all melted. The melting has sped up a lot in recent years, which worries scientists around the globe. This environmental change is creating money-making opportunities while at the same time threatening coastal cities everywhere. For the people actually living in Greenland, all this attention from powerful countries is both good and bad. Foreign money coming in could really improve how people live, create jobs, and upgrade roads and buildings. But there are real worries about damaging the environment, losing their culture, and whether Greenland will actually benefit fairly from all its resources, or just become a game piece in a bigger power struggle. Denmark is stuck in a tough spot, trying to balance Greenland's desire to be more independent and develop economically with its own interests and promises to allies. The relationship between Copenhagen and Nuuk, Greenland's capital, has gotten more and more complicated as Greenland pushes for more independence, while still depending on a lot of money from Denmark. as the world's most powerful countries fight aggressively to get influence in Greenland. The whole global power map is being redrawn. Who has power is changing fundamentally, and new opportunities and problems are popping up. What kind of impact all these changes will have on global stability, the economy, and how countries deal with each other, we will only know as time goes on. But one thing is for sure, Greenland's days of being unknown are definitely over, and its future will be decided by choices made in capital cities thousands of miles away, even as its own people try to control their own fate.